Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam wa ba'du. Just to summarize everything before we do the question. The whole point was to bring awareness of Dalil in Islam and what evidence is and what evidence isn't. So now, knowing what we know, it's better, it's good. It's better to, we're better equipped to be able to distinguish what are we supposed to be doing, what are our limits, and things like that. We know what's Dalil, what's not Dalil. We have a famous statement, or in our area, which we need to get, we need to be better. We need to be better in our presentation as far as when somebody asks us for the proof for something. It was a time when you couldn't say anything except that you had a hadith or ayat in this city. If you didn't have a hadith or ayat, people would just rather be quiet. Now, a lot of us are comfortable with the famous statement Sheikh was saying. Sheikh said. The problem with that is, I believe the Sheikh has Dalil for what he said. The problem is you don't know what the Dalil was. And on top of that, that's not really the problem. The problem is a person's trying to force somebody else to do something, and they themselves don't know why they're doing it. What they know is the Sheikh said it. And maybe they trust the Sheikh, and maybe the Sheikh did mention a Dalil, and they don't know what it is. Right? So therefore, what does that mean? If I hear a Sheikh mention a Dalil for something, I heard the Dalil. Maybe I'm not able to articulate it to you. What am I supposed to do with that? Huh? I should at least point you in the direction where I got it from. But what am I supposed to do? I understood what I was listening to. I can't articulate it to anybody else, though. So what do I do? Huh? Keep silent? I can keep silent, but what do I do with what I have? I practice it. I can practice it. I heard the Dalil from whatever it was. I heard the Dalil. I heard the Sheikh mention the Dalil. I'm not able to articulate and explain it what you said. I just know, man, I know we're supposed to do it like this. I'm going to do it like this. And if you do it like that, maybe it's Dalil for what you're doing. Maybe it's two ways to do it. Or is it only one way to do everything? You see what I'm saying? That's part of our issue. So part of the issue, the reasoning was, maybe if we understand there is more things in Islam that's used for evidence outside of the Quran and the Sunnah, maybe we'll lighten up on each other. Maybe we'll look at things a little different when we go to different masjids and they do different things. Because there's other things that's not mentioned here. But this is just to bring awareness. Because if we go into each one and go to explain each one, that's going to be like probably 20 to 30 classes that most people not going to be built to stand 20 to 30 classes. But most of us can get through an hour and a half worth of information as awareness to what's going on. So when I come back and I hear it somewhere else, I read a book, I have a little bit of better understanding. It doesn't seem as confusing and chaotic. Everybody with me? Now the brother asked earlier, if two people disagree or two scholars disagree, how are we supposed to act? What are we supposed to do? Our job, like most of us do, and I'm going to just use an example. I'm going to have a book, two books in my house, one from Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah, and one from Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah. Both of the books are on the salat. Sheikh bin Baz says you should do something in part of the salat. It's sunnah to do it here. Sheikh Al-Albani says you shouldn't do it. It's not sunnah. Right? What am I supposed to do? That's the question. I'm sitting in my house, it's two books. What am I supposed to do? Two books, scholars, Ahl Sunnah, we love them. Cool. Salat, he says do this, he says don't do this. What do I do? Good. He said go with the one, ijma, consensus. That's what's, everybody with me? The problem with that, if it was consensus, they wouldn't be disagreeing. If it was ijma', it wouldn't be no khilaf. There would be no different if it was already total consensus. It wouldn't be no disagreeing. It's disagreeing because it's not ijma'. Everybody with me? This is very likely to happen. You got two books in the house. What are you going to do? He said, go with what you're comfortable with. What's going to make you comfortable reading both of them books? One says it's sunnah to do it, and one says no, it's not from the sunnah to do it. You say you would just leave it off. Why? Yes. What's safest to you? How would you find? How do I find out what's safest? I'm in the house. All right, cool. Further. Preference. What else one I prefer? Look at the evidence that both of them mentioned. That's what should lead us to preference. My preference should be based on whatever I'm able to arrive at. I'm no scholar. I just got two books, two sheikhs. I love them both, but they mentioned the two different things. I'm just trying to worship Allah. Let me see. He brought a hadith and he brought a hadith. Both of them in Sahih Bukhari. It might boil down to it like this, y'all. I don't even understand this hadith. I'm going to just go with this one because I don't understand the hadith. Not the hadith is weak. This is just me. I don't have no other recourse. You with me? At some point, you're going to get to that point. And now that's going to be my preference. I'm comfortable with it. Why? Because this hadith to me is clear. I understand it. I don't have no issue. This hadith, I'm not saying is weak. I just don't understand. I don't understand how he got to that. If you do that, this is the next issue, y'all. If your brother or your sister does that, leave them. Just because you didn't understand the hadith, that doesn't mean nobody else in the masjid didn't understand the hadith. You just didn't understand it. Let them be and worship Allah. It's easy. We make it difficult, yes.
But it's preference relative to feelings. When you feel a way, it's like, I like that because I feel this way, opposed to it being an actual truth.
Right. No, your preference should come from. It should come from your understanding of what you're reading. So based on these two books, I read this one. I don't really understand what he's saying. I'm not saying he's wrong. I don't understand it. And when I read this one, I understand it. I prefer this one. It's an easy read. I'm going with this one. This joint clear to me. I'm not saying that's wrong, but that's just not clear to me. So that's why I pray like this. Well, the brother says, well, why you don't do this? I said, I had a book, but I ain't really understand that joint. Well, it's just like this. This is all you got to do. All right, cool. So that's what you do? Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Keep doing you. I'm going to do what I'm doing. What's the problem? It's dalil for both. It's not total consensus, because if it was an ijma', total agreement, we wouldn't be allowed to go against it. If it was an ijma' on the issue, we're not allowed to go against ijma', total consensus. All the Sahaba said that. How you going to come 1,000 years later and go against what the Sahaba agreed on? Everybody clear? Somebody sent this question here. I'm going to try. I'm going to say certain other follow some principles that other madhab reject and have very harsh statements towards them, calling it bid'ah, such as the concept. Oh, wow. So a certain group of scholars may condemn. It says here, and this is the same question probably, certain madhab, the scholars, they might follow some of the principles like we're talking about. Some follow the six that they differ on, and some say no. So when it comes like that, it says that some might go to the point of saying the other thing that they're doing is a bid'ah or innovation. It might get to that point, right? It says, so a certain group of scholars may contradict a clear text, right, due to seeing now the wording in this joint is nuts. All right. Let me read this real quick, y'all. Situation where another group of scholars who do not consider the istisam evidence in the future. If someone were to speak about it, then the person should use it. How would one reconcile between the two groups? The way it's written, they already came to a conclusion, because I would disagree with the way the question's written. basically, if we're talking about the 6 that the scholars differ on, right? Cool. And we do the same thing we just did. Some say that the statement of the Sahaba is a proof. Some say no. Then the ones who say, you saying it's a proof, that's bid'ah. How are we supposed to deal with that? That's basically the question. When it comes to those issues, number one, majority of us are not qualified to even speak in those issues anyway. Number two, when it comes to bid'ah and those type of terms, innovation, we got to be very careful on how, even if we want to go any further, even if it was bid'ah, how do you deal with a person who's practicing bid'ah? It's a whole conversation. What are we supposed to do in that case, right? In this case, it's on a higher level. The scholars differ on the issue, and they say to do this is innovation. Then you come in the masjid, and the brother is doing exactly what you read in the house. You're like, yo, that's the same thing that Sheikh was saying. Sheikh said in the book, that's bid'ah. So what are we going to do? Because this is what happens. Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah, in his book, Sifat Salat al-Nabi, he said putting the hands on the chest after ruku' is bid'ah. You go on ruku', come back up and put your hands on your chest, he says bid'ah. Other ulama say it's from the sunnah, right? You come in the masjid, a brother or sister's praying, they come back out of ruku', they put their hands on their chest. You just read it in the house, right? Everybody with me? The question is, what are we supposed to do? What are we doing now? How are we approaching things? You with me? Because this happens all the time. Number one, this is what you should ask yourself. Is there ijma' on where the hands go in the salat? That's what you should be going through. If you really, I'm just saying, if you want to be for real about knowledge and academic about it, and it's all about knowledge, not personal feelings, since I pray with them and that's what they do, if you on that, stay on that and don't fake it. That's what you're doing, that's what you're doing. If you're trying to be about knowledge, then you have to go through the proper procedures and steps to get to your answer. And it's going to take time and research. If you're serious if it's about knowledge, you're going to have to go through a bunch of steps to figure out what you should do. Most people don't want to do that. This is what we need to understand, y'all. When people are worshiping, and it's a difference of opinion amongst the scholars, they're different because maybe some understanding on the hadith, maybe it could be a dalil, maybe they're using the same hadith, but they understand it 2 different ways. There's numerous things they're different for. What is your job? You better worship Allah according to what you see to be the correct thing. If they're on bid'ah, that's on them. If you can't explain to that person why that's a bid'ah, what's the problem, how to change it, how to fix it, if you're not able to do that, you're better off doing what? Being quiet. If you're not able to explain that, or find somebody who's able to speak to them about it. Us walking up to each other and telling people to do stuff and don't, them days, we can't keep functioning like that because it's only causing problems and division. My job is to say, listen, I read somewhere that was a bid'ah. I don't know why. He said it was a bid'ah. Why? The person will ask you why. If you can't answer that, you're like, man, Sheikh, it's in the back of his book. He said it is the Sheikh. That's not Dalil. Why is it bid'ah? That's a hukum. You can't just say something like that and I'm supposed to walk off. I worship Allah every day like this. You're telling me what I'm doing I made up? Is nowhere in the deen that says I'm supposed to be doing it like this? That's what you're saying? I ain't saying all that. And what you saying? Because that's what bid'ah is a heavy thing. You with me? The most important thing is you worship Allah based on what you know. If you find out something that somebody's not supposed to be doing something, before we open our mouths, we should do our own research on it and figure out how am I going to help my brother or sister stop doing that. Because they may ask me, why is it a bid'ah? Why can't I do it? You can't even explain to them why they can't do it. Next thing you know, y'all going to be arguing. Next thing you know, it's going to be an argument based on what? Not based on what they did, because you can't even explain what you're saying. And you're mad at them because they won't take your word for it. And Allah forgive us. Amen. This other question, this is about the scholars differing. The scholars differ. When the scholars differ, y'all, that's a whole class in itself. There are levels of people when it comes to knowledge. The ulama they consider the scholars. Then you have tulab al-ilm, the students of knowledge, and then you have what they consider the awam, just the general Muslims. They're not considered to be students. These are regular Muslims coming, going back and forth to work to pray every day, minding their business, worshiping Allah. Those people are not to be involved in those conversations. They're not to be involved in those conversations. What we've done is we've taken our regular everyday Muslims and we've put them up in these conversations where they have no idea what they're talking about. And that's why we have the confusion that we have. Is there any other questions? Before we stop? So, طيب. If Allah gives us the ability, maybe we can go into some detail with some of these. Again, this is only to bring awareness to what our deen considers when it comes to evidence. It's not something light. You're talking about right now, according to just what we covered, and there's things not mentioned here, you're talking about 10 things that could be possibly considered dalil in Islam. 10. Most people walking around know 2. And those same people are ready to argue you all the way down to the end based on those 2. All of us have read something and we may not understand how that fits there. That's based on our lack of knowledge. These type of issues are not necessarily classes every day for general people. This is just an awareness. This is a very detailed topic. But especially for the city that we live in and the way we carry ourselves as Muslims and the way we deal with each other when it comes to these type of issues, I thought it was important for us to have some serious educational background on the words we always saying. What's the dalil? What's your proof? And from what we went through, and there's some things that's not mentioned, was not a proof is the state, I ain't gonna say that, no, I'm sorry. Was not a proof is the statement of your imam. His statement alone is not a proof. His statement that is filled with evidence is a proof. Not his statement is not the proof. Now the evidence that he mentioned in his talk was the proof. Everybody with me? We have to be critical like that in separating the two. The sheikh mentions dalil. They're scholars. The problem is, y'all, you missed the evidence when you were sitting there. You was probably watching people come in the door trying to see who in there. You missed the evidence when the sheikh was talking. You heard something. Now you heard something. You want to come and put what you have heard on everybody else. So now when somebody says, well, wait a minute, what's the dalil for that? We can't do that. What's the proof on that? Man, sheikh was going in yesterday. He was talking about it. He went in for like 10 minutes. Well, what'd he say? She was going in. It was crazy. Well, what's the dalil he mentioned about it? We don't want to stand down and say, I don't know, man. I missed it. That's all you got to say. I missed the dalil. Don't say the sheikh said and hold the whole masjid to that, because that's not evidence in Islam. A person's looking for, generally, ayat, hadith. That's what most people are looking for. Now we know, well, it could be just ijma' as a dalil by itself. The Sahaba all agreed. It could be qiyas. Well, listen, I missed the whole example, but he was comparing the fact that this is compared to that and they get the same rule. Have some knowledge about it. That's the separation. That's the difference. Not just we could just come and say anything. Our deen is not like that, and we don't want to be people who make it like that. And if there's not any more questions, we can stop there. If there's no questions, if the sisters don't have any questions, we'll stop, inshallah. Oh, the mic not working? They probably talk. Is it turned on? I ain't trying to be funny, eh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Please sit down.
My question is, I took my shahada like 30 some years ago, and I never really considered myself any particular sect. So I guess my question is, I know sects have something to do with a lot of these
She never
different
considered something.
Dalils that we have in Philadelphia.
You said you never considered
I
yourself
don't
what?
consider myself any specific sect
Oh, okay. I thought you.
in Islam.
Mm.
And I think that has something to do with a lot of the Dalils in Philadelphia right now. So I guess my question is there Dalil on not acknowledging any specific sect? Just calling yourself a Muslim, period,
Mm.
without any adjective on the front.
Is it Dalil not to?
I'm saying, is there a Dalil on Muslims like myself who don't acknowledge any specific sect?
Mm. The most important thing above titles and labels is practice. We've made titles and labels above the practice. So I put a title or label on myself, and I might not practice anything I'm talking about. And we've made that okay in Philly. That's what we've done. And if y'all don't know, everybody knows that about us, y'all. People outside of Philly know that about us. We've made things acceptable that's not acceptable. So the fact that you say you're this, you good. You don't really have to do that much. You can go against what you're saying you are because you've already made the statement that I'm this. More important than names and titles is practicing the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the most important thing. Now, what you want to call yourself, not you, sister, I'm just saying, whatever you start calling yourself, you're going to be held to that before Allah. And I want to say, y'all, right now, this is the problem. This is a new Muslim, and we're talking about sex. That's a problem. We're not talking about Quran, Sunnah. We're talking about putting a label on them. Just put a label on them. No, you got to be this, man. Whatever it is, you got to be this. No, you got to pray. You have to pray 5 times a day, right? You have to fast Ramadan. You have to understand who Allah is, Tawheed of Allah, worship Allah alone. That's what you have to do. You calling yourself, it's all over the internet, my name, and putting on the end, Al-Athari, Al-Salafi, Al-Hanbali, Al-Shafi, all that, okay. But practice is more important than the label. You can have all of those labels and not practice it. Then what are we going to say before Allah? More important than the labels is practice. And unfortunately, in this city, we've made the label more important than the practice. And nobody want to say nothing. We act like we like... The crazy thing about us, y'all, from our culture, our urf, our aida, our custom, Philly, we know stuff be wrong. We know it's wrong and won't say nothing. And we know it's not right. And refuse, won't say anything. Keep acting like it's not happening right in front of us. All the way up until that type of practice of deen, practicing deen like that, that type of practice leads to what happened at their Eid. It leads to that. That's what it leads to. Because we know stuff wrong, it's in our face, and we won't say nothing. And we keep not saying nothing and it gets bigger and a snowball. Then it's out of control and stuff like that happens at their Eid. We gotta do what's right. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. Everybody screaming they Salafi, everybody screaming stuff. All right. Practice though, practice. What the Salaf did was learn. How many people learning? On some real time, for real. I don't know about the brothers, man. The sisters class be jammed. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. The sisters class be filled to the back, MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Every time. Grind the brothers up real quick. Brothers have a class. Brothers know everything. Brothers know everything. We already know everything. That's why we can't learn, because we know everything already. What class is that? I'm not sure. Everything is, we know everything. People come ask me a question, right? And you already got the answer. All the time. Listen, Sheikh, what's the name? Let me ask you this. It's a light joint. And I already know that Sheikh al-Islam said this about it. Then what is you asking me for? If Sheikh al-Islam Taymiyyah rahimahullah said what you're saying, why would you come ask me? Worship Allah with that. You with me? Worship Allah with that. We know everything already, so it's difficult for us to learn. And a lot of us need to relearn. We need to relearn. We need to take knowledge serious. We need to be a little more serious about learning. You can ask, the sisters be complaining, man, about the brothers they marrying. Marrying brothers don't know some things. They thinking that the expectation they're going to marry these brothers, and the brothers are going to be the imam in the house and give them the knowledge and all this. They marry him and they like, yo, like he's not. I thought he knew more than that. It's an expectation. We are the imams of the houses, right? The brothers, you imam in your house. They come with a lot. The imam has to lead the salat. Yeah, all that stuff cool. We got to do better. We know, and this is the problem I want to talk about. In Philly, we know it's wrong, and we refuse to say anything until it affects me. And that's why it's chaos. I won't say anything as long as it don't come over here. Don't come over here with that. Even though I know it's wrong. If it don't affect me, I let it ride. I let it ride. A year go by, 2 years, drawn out of pockets, but I let it ride. 6th, 7th year, it come back and smack me in the face. Now I got something to say, a public statement, and I got to say something. But it been wrong. And now the fact that I didn't say anything, a bunch of people saw me not say anything, so a bunch of people think it's okay to not say anything. We need to call a spade and do what's right, which doesn't mean we disrespecting each other. It doesn't mean we're being rude to each other. It means we're being honest, and we meet Allah, and we did the right thing. But as far as that, we sitting back and we letting everybody do what they want to do, and we know stuff wrong, we don't want to say anything, we shouldn't be upset with anybody but ourselves as a community of people. We all contribute to that when we don't do what we're supposed to do. Fuck. We command the good and forbid the evil. No doubt. That's what the verse says, but this is the next thing connected to this issue of Dalil. It's possible, and this is a detailed situation, it's possible that two scholars are using the same verse and the understanding is different. It's possible. It's possible that they're both looking at the same hadith and they come up with 2 or 3 different understandings of the hadith. Therefore, you say, well, what's the ruling on this? I say the scholars differ. Well, what's the strongest proof? What's the strong one, though? What's the strongest one? It depends on the person reading. The strongest one is the stronger to me. According to what I read, this is the strongest. But that don't mean it's the strongest with Allah. It's just based on my understanding and my knowledge. What I read, this seems like it's the strongest to me. And I have to meet Allah with that. You say, well, nah, man, this other one is stronger. Dalil is stronger than you. You got to meet Allah with that. It's easy. We taking these things that if we had knowledge about, it'll relieve some of the stress and the aggressiveness that we have towards other Muslims if we had this knowledge. And if we really was serious about practicing and following the people of knowledge and how they deal with each other when they differ, we wouldn't be this aggressive with each other. So what does that say about us? Follow the scholars, Ahl al-Ilm, all that talk, like the sister said, and the labels, all them labels. When it comes to practice, where does that put us in front of Allah Yawm al-Qiyamah? That's the question for them. Well, first of all, a Muslim, the asl is going to be, they're going to go into an issue of what's the asl, the origin of a Muslim. A Muslim, there is no Islam without the Sunnah. There is no Islam without the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Islam is the Sunnah and the Sunnah is Islam. Right? And I'm saying it like this because a lot of people don't know. Some people, like she said, don't even know the label. Some people don't know the labels at all. So assuming I'm the person that doesn't know the label, right? How am I going to call myself something that I don't even know the label? What am I supposed to call? I'm a Muslim. I know I'm a Muslim for sure. You follow Sunnah? Yeah, I got to follow Sunnah. There was a time I didn't know nothing about no Khawarij. What is that? I didn't know any of those words. A brother asked me one time, man, and said, what kind of Muslim are you? So I was like 9th grade. Like, I don't know. It's different. I don't know. It's types. I didn't know. He said, I'm Muslim. Yeah, what type of Muslim are you? I'm like, I don't know. Muslim. He said, what you, FOI? I said, no, I ain't no FOI. I know what that is. I'm not that. He said, you Sunni? I don't know what that is, but I know I follow the Sunnah. Yeah, the Sunnah. Sunnah, yeah. That's it. No, but then another brother came later and said, no, you got to be a Salafi. You got to say you're Salafi. As the brother told me, you have to say it. I said, well, damn, what's a Salafi? It's the first time I don't even know this word. What is a Salafi? He told me, Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah, says you must call yourself Salafi. I said, who is Sheikh Al-Albani, number one? I don't know no sheikhs. You telling me Sheikh Al-Albani? I don't know who he is at the time. I didn't. And I wasn't trying to be funny. I didn't know who Sheikh Al-Albani is. You got to understand, there was a time in Philly where the sheikh wasn't a big term. The term was imam. Sheikh came a little later. Everybody was imam, so it was referred to as imam. I didn't know anybody referred to as sheikh. So when he tells me Sheikh Al-Albani says you got to call yourself Salafi, in my brain, who's he? I don't know sheikh. I don't know who you talking about, and I don't know what that is. The question is, a person of knowledge, what do you think he's going to say to this person? We're talking about an issue of where we are, Islam and Kufr. We're talking about Iman and Kufr. You telling a new Shahada they got to say that there's something? That's why we had the confusion that we have. And I'm not saying you're not supposed to follow the minhaj of the Salaf. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we put more emphasis on labels and clothes than we do on practice. We're more concerned about the label you call yourself and what you look like in your clothes than we are about practice. And we all know that, and that's just part of our Philly culture. You know what I'm saying? Some things we just ain't supposed to say, right? Some things with us, you ain't supposed to say that. Come on, shit, you can't. If I wasn't from Philly and I said it, though, we give them a pass. But you can't be from Philly and say you stepping over the line. And we allow that, and we allow it, and we allow it, and we allow it until somebody's shooting at our Eid. Now we want to keep talking about it. We got to do better in practice. If we're doing better in practice, nobody will feel comfortable showing up to their Eid like that. People feel comfortable showing up to our Eids like that based on our weakness in our practice. Step our practice up, and there's no way they're going to feel comfortable coming to the Eid doing something like that. But if we want to keep playing a half in, half out, still want to be, we should expect the results that we get. We shouldn't be surprised at the results that we get. I don't want to go on, y'all, because it's sad. It hurts. But I got to say the stuff that I know we know. I know y'all. I know my people. We know stuff be wrong and won't say it, man. That ain't decent. That's corny. You know it's wrong. You're not going to say nothing. It's a big, everybody know it's wrong. Nobody's going to say nothing. We don't keep walking around like it ain't happening. Then when we get the results that we get, we all want to complain. Man, it's doing shout out, man. It been shout out. It been wrong. Nobody wanted to say anything. Now somebody gets hurt, and then we upset. Man, they tell them shit. We got.
It's like you said when we was coming up. You said I'm Muslim, but you knew who was Muslim, so that wouldn't happen if we left. You knew it was consequences.
Right.
Now we got our labels and everything, so divided. Now anything happens because everybody's too attached to the label.
Yeah.
Instead of
Everybody's attached to the label.
how we move.
If something happened, no doubt, something happened to a Muslim, we not ready to defend. We say, what type of time they on down there? What man shit? They be on such and such. Some people, may Allah protect us and protect our hearts. I can't even say it. They think, I ain't even gonna say it. I can't even say it, man. It's disgusting, man. And this is not difficult. We make it difficult. Why we won't just follow? If we're so whatever we saying we are, and we putting all these labels, why we won't just follow the Quran and the Sunnah then? Why don't we just do it instead of keep talking about it? Follow the Quran and Sunnah in your house, outside the house, at work, with your wife, with your husband, with your kids, in the masjid, outside the masjid, in your car, all when you go on vacation, nobody see you. When you go out there and nobody see you, it's all people out there, nobody's out there. Follow Quran and Sunnah out there. Why we can't do that since we want to put labels and all that? If we being serious. But we're more concerned about the label. Somebody texted me the other day. Brother texted me the other day. And this is my man. He said, man, alhamdulillah, this is the question. I was telling people about the masjid, and they asked me, was the masjid Salafi? Well, I'm be honest with you. I don't know what the person means by Salafi. I don't know what they mean. I know what I mean when I say it. I don't know what they mean. To some people, Salafi is following a certain masjid and a certain sheikh, and that's it. I'm not that. We're not that. So I don't know what they mean, that you got to follow a specific, this masjid. If you don't follow them, we not on that. So I don't know what that means. Somebody sent the message here to the, I want to sign my kids up for class. No, I signed my kids up for class. Cool. But I'm trying to see if y'all Salafi. You done already signed your kids up. If we not, whatever you think, and if we're not, yeah. If that make you comfortable, yeah. You see what I'm saying? That's not a knowledge-based approach. I heard something from here, ask them this. If they say yeah, all right, cool, go ahead. That's not deen, that's not knowledge. And then at the end, when we practice like that, y'all, the results of that type of practice is what we see at their Eid. All of that's a result of us not really practicing for real. That's a result. That's the natija of not practicing deen like we supposed to be. And it wasn't always like that, not in this city. So my advice to all of us, we need to be a little more serious about learning. We need to be a little more serious about practice. And when you practice Islam, there's a level of loneliness that comes along with it. When you're trying to learn Islam, it's a level of loneliness that comes along with it. You start losing friends. You start losing people. People start falling off. They stop coming around you. They stop calling you. But you're in the right spot. You're in the masjid. You're sitting in the classes. You're doing the right thing. But it might be too much for the people. You can't fall off of that trying to please somebody else. May Allah forgive us and make us people who practice. What you mean by Shari'iyah? No difference, sah. There are issues, jazakallah khair. Some issues, there's no room to differ. Some issues, there's no room to differ. We're talking about the tawheed of Allah, worship of Allah alone, the asma wa sifat. We're not talking, most of the people, right, don't come in here with questions about Allah's names and attributes. Most of the stuff we be arguing about is the second category, fiqh issues where there's room to differ. There's room to differ. The ulama already differed 1,000 years ago. Why you think we can't differ today and still get along as Muslims? We're not talking, the majority of the questions, y'all, are not about Allah's names. I'm not saying this is not the most important. Tawheed is, the first thing and the most important in our deen. Worshiping Allah properly, ikhlas, all worship for Allah, His names, His attributes, rububiyyah, those are the most important things, guarding our iman. But the reality is most of the questions are not about that. Most of the differing is not about that. Most of our issues, I divorced my wife twice, but I was mad on the third one. That's fiqh. Just because you were mad don't mean it didn't count. Naeem can't fix that. So don't come here thinking you're going to fix that. Right? Most of the things are about fiqh. I came late to the salat. I broke my fast because of this. Most of those are issues where it's room to differ. We've taken those issues where it's room to differ and placed them in the other category as if there's no room to differ in those issues. That's what we've done. Based on our lack of knowledge. Based on us not knowing the categories, this is a fiqh issue. Okay, what's the dalil for that? The ulama differ. The ulama differ? Yeah. If a person says the ulama differ, y'all, we should understand from that There's Dalil that the scholars are looking at to support both sides. They're not just shooting from the hip just because they want to differ. That means this group of scholars, they have Dalil for what they're doing, and this group of scholars has Dalil for what they're doing. Both have Dalil for what they're doing. Well, how am I supposed to act with that? Well, you have to do your research and see what you come to as far as you can go in researching to what you see to be the most authentic and close to the correct stance on whatever the issue is. And we've taken those issues and we've made them into issues of the other category where there's no room to differ in those categories. So now we got issues about where did you pray their Eid? Where did you pray their Eid? Well, it's a masjid at the end of my block. I was running late. I had to go to work, so I prayed there. Oh, man, they shout out. Why you pray down there? What's the hukum on praying their Eid prayer, number one? What's the ruling on a Muslim praying their Eid prayer? Ulama differ. Leave it there. Yeah. Most of the stuff is like this, y'all. We take them and we make them black and white. That's the problem. Some say wajib, some say fardu kifaya, some, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole, knowledge is an ocean. And we take stuff where it's room and we make it black and white. And then once we make it black and white, anybody who doesn't agree with me is like almost my enemy. Yeah, not almost. A lot of people making it to like the salam start slowing down, phone calls stop coming, stop texting you. If you see them, the handshake get lighter, the smile gets smaller. Then akhir shay, the biggest joint is they do what? I'm unfollowing you on all platforms. That's when I'm really done with you, right? That's when you that's when you know. That's when you know I'm done with you. Based on what? Majority of the time. Majority of the time based on the issue, where the ulama differ already. You can't force me to see what you see. Jazakallah khair. That's an important issue. That's a very important issue. And I'm saying based on my experience here, since we've been here, majority of the questions have nothing to do with Aqidah, the term minhaj that people be using. The majority of questions have nothing to do with that. Most of the questions about marriage, divorce, salat. That's majority of the questions. Havana, my stepkids. All that's fiqh. Child custody. She got custody, we divorced, custody of the kids. All of that's fiqh. And there's room in those areas to differ. Our problem is, like we was talking, a lot of times those issues, we don't know where those issues come or where they're placed in the books of fiqh. So the issue that you've been looking for the past 10 years is in the chapter of wudu. The issue you've been looking for years is in the chapter of wudu. When the flyer goes out that it's a class on wudu, you see it's on wudu, I'm cool on wudu, I know wudu. I'm cool on that class. Dad, when y'all gonna do something on something else? But if you knew the issue for real, what you need is in that class. But you just refuse to go to that class because you already know wudu. You already know ghusl. You already know how to pray. You know the adhan, you know the iqamah. Tayyib. MashaAllah. You with me? Everybody with me? No doubt. Sah. Right. No doubt. No doubt. And that's the next section in the class, the manners of the student of knowledge. Hudur, as we say, the famous term, sitting with the scholars. We've been here for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and then we done, right? And then we're gonna be done. And some of us might not go to another class for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month maybe, right? If most of us as a community of people are not learning, what do we think is gonna happen in the next 10, 15 years? It's simple math. You know what I'm saying? If the majority of us are not learning, what's going to happen in the next 10, 15 years? It's going to be chaos. We think it's chaotic now, right? He said people have replaced these type of sittings with social media. So what's going to happen is the joint cut off earlier. They're going to call us and grind us up about equipment. Yo, if y'all need help with the equipment, inshallah, we can help y'all get some equipment. No, all you got to do is come down. If you in the city, if you outside the city, we trying to, inshallah, benefit people. But if you're in the city, go to the masjid. Go there, sit, because the people that we love, the scholars and all that we love, and all them people that we love, you need to be sitting in front of them. We had to go to the masjid, sit down in front of them. The masjid be freezing cold. It's all types of things going on. You haven't eaten all day. You really got bills to pay, but you got to go there and sit in front of the sheikh and pay attention and take notes. And you have to do it consistently over time. Over years and years and years and years and years to really get something substantial that you can actually take with you. That takes time. The internet, social media is not a replacement for that. It's not a replacement for that. And I pray that Allah forgives us for our shortcomings and makes us better and increases us in our hirs, our diligence, and our seriousness about learning. It was a time when we were a lot more serious as a community of people about learning. You want to add something, Sheikh?
The last one we get into that we consider is that we don't use what is happening in the news and we are sitting down with your sheikh and everything that you are asking the question, you are asking an imam in the
Sure.
you are asking an imam in the Facebook, you are asking an imam in somewhere, you are using it as a fatwa and feeding it.
Sahih.
So even in feeding here, you have to ask the location that you are, you have to ask the sheikh because the sheikh is the food that which is here, he brings it to you and we have the knowledge of that locality.
Well, Sheikh, I'm with you. I'm going to tell you the problem now. The problem we have, there are no sheikhs in Philly. Who's a sheikh in Philly that I can ask? That's how most people. Because what he's saying is, when you ask questions, you calling to people who may not understand the situation that you're living and asking them a question. And that's a part of the fatwa, the part of asking Ahlul Ilm. And I've seen plenty of our scholars, they ask the question, and you know what they say? They don't even answer the question. Ask the scholars in your country. Yeah. That's the expectation. You speak the language, that's your culture, you know the people, you answer that question. That's what it's supposed to be. But we were told there are no scholars here. We don't, like, as if we can't produce scholars. That's how we were told, as if we are not allowed to produce scholars. That's what we were told. Babe, I'm sitting in the Haram, Sheikh Fawzan. Somebody asked Sheikh Fawzan, Hafidullah, about such and such is going on in my country. It's packed at the Kaaba. It's packed. Such and such is going on in my country, and if we grow our beards, this is going to happen to us. Is it permissible for me to cut my beard? He's from such and such country. He's not from Saudi. He said, Isa ulama'akum. Ask your scholars in your country. Nah, next question. Ask the scholars in your country. I don't know what's going on over there. Ask the scholars in your country. 5 minutes later, somebody asked a similar question. He said the same thing. He didn't say, what country are you from? Because there's no certain countries, there's no scholars there. What country are you from? Oh, if you from such and such, well, there's no scholars there. No. Ask the scholars in your country. It's expected that there's ulama, scholars all over the world. We won't turn around and say, we won't have nobody, we won't have people with knowledge here to ask. That's not what the ulama told me when I was there. They referred to people I know here in Philly as sheikhs. That's what I was told. I'm not saying you, but all. Not you, go you. But you, nobody, haven't studied anything. Haven't studied anything from Deen. You're going to turn around and all the sheikhs that you love, consider him a sheikh. But you, who know nothing, for real, you're going to say he's not a sheikh. MashaAllah. That makes sense to us? Come on, y'all. The people that you know, the ulama that you love and know, they said this man is a scholar. I don't want to make that reference, but I haven't learned anything from Dean like that. I'm new, for real, for real. I'm just, for real, start coming around. You telling me he's not, so your word, I'm supposed to take your word over theirs? Come on, man. If we don't know that's wrong, if we don't know that's a problem, then Lord help us. And we could do better. We just have to want to do better. We have more than enough opportunity to do better. There's plenty of opportunity to learn and practice Islam here. It's on us to do it. And if we don't, we shouldn't be surprised at the results we get. And I'm going to stop there, inshallah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka bina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.